Hello and welcome back to the channel. In today's episode, we'll continue our journey through the canvas in JavaScript and React. And basically, this is where we left off with our example and our wonderful art. There's not much to it, but we'll expand it today. So last episode, we focused on the rectangles. And just to quickly remind you, basically, when it comes to drawing rectangles, you have three methods when it comes to canvas. The good old fill rect that will create rectangle filled with predefined fill style. Then we can do something like, let's do blue, and let's create the rectangle without an outline. So we can do context, throw rect, and maybe something like 400, 0, 10 by 100 by 120, and that should work, and to create rectangle which is not filled. The question is, why isn't the stroke color working? Let's do RGB A 00. Let's do RGB. Try and make it blue. It's still black for any reason. And that's because you have to define the stroke style, of course, not the fill style. Fill style is only, well, when you're filling something. And then there's the third method, which is quite interesting and can be used to clear the part of canvas. So this is context clear rect method. Okay. So if we try to clear something inside of our blue rectangle, like for example, I would like to maybe I would like to clear like this part here. So remove that part of the rectangle, right? So basically, I would have to use the clear rect method, and then find the proper coordinates. So for example, 100 and 110 and 20 and 20, just to punch a hole in my wonderful rectangle, right? And this part of the canvas is now cleared. That little square you see here. Okay, but what I wanted to talk about in this episode are two new drawing methods, mainly the path creation, the line creation, and then the arcs. So let's start with the paths. Basically, there are 3 steps to create a closed path or a polygon when it comes to canvas. The first one is to create a path, and this is very easy. You do it by calling begin path. Then you are using some drawing commands. So use drawing commands, and we will focus on 2 commands in this episode, mainly move to and line to, but there are other that we will explore in the upcoming episodes. The creation of the quadratic curve and Bezier curve. But in this episode, we'll just stick to the simple shapes, to the simple polygons. So for example, imagine I would like to create a triangle. So basically something like this. What I would have to do is to first move to some starting point, this or this on my canvas. So I would have to specify a starting coordinate of my polygon, then create a line from this point to this point, then maybe from this point to this point, and then canvas is and then of course I could create the path from this point to this point, or I could close path, right? So I would have two options here. So let's try doing that. So we'll move to some coordinates. We have already begin drawing the path. So context move to allows you to move your, let's say, invisible cursor across the context. And this is one drawback or one maybe issue with using context. If you are accustomed to using some kind of graphic program like Paint or Photoshop or Sprite or whatever, you basically always have some feedback on your drawing, and you basically always know where your drawing cursor is. But when it comes to drawing on a clean canvas, well, you have to calculate everything and remember about your coordinates and your positioning. So this could get a little bit tiring, and it's a little bit of a burden when using the canvas, but we can work with this. So I'm gonna move to some coordinate, and then I'm gonna start drawing a line by using the line to command. I'm gonna move, I will move in the increments of 25, basically to draw our rectangle. Line 2, okay, and then I can just call context stroke. And that will create a rectangle inside of my triangle. So maybe I will bump it up a little bit just to move it outside. And this is a kind of interesting problem also. Whenever I am modifying the draw function, the previous drawing is still on the screen. And this is actually due to the fact that we don't have the cleanup function in our effect, but we can fix that really easy, I believe. I can add a return function here, which is going to be whenever the component is changed or unmounted. So this basically your component will unmount. And I can just call context clear rect and use that to clear basically everything. I believe the height is 400. Okay, and now whenever we will change the drawing function, it should be cleared. I hope so, at least. Okay, so another thing we could do here when drawing the lines, I believe we could change the line width. Okay, and this is thanks to TypeScript. We know that this is a number, so maybe let's specify 3. And now it's a little bit thicker. Okay, so this is how we could draw a triangle, and that's kind of cool. So basically, you use line 2 and move to connect the lines in your polygon. One interesting thing. Let's see. Sorry. Let's see what would happen if I would to remove the third line. Okay, now we have just those two lines, And the question is, can I close it by using the close, close path command? And yes, this is going to be automatically closed based on the last point and the shortest line, which is in our example, the side of our triangle. And this is a connection between the last line and the first line. So you have basically, when drawing the straight polygons, you have two options. You can specify all the lines, and you are then making sure to close the polygon correctly, or you can delegate this task to the close path command and hope that it will close the way that is correct for you. Okay, so knowing that, we can use that knowledge to create a roof over our house, because it's not really a house if you don't have a roof. So let's go to our draw art function, and maybe here say roof. Of course, if you to create a real drawing or real canvas app or canvas game, you split those particular parts of the house probably into different functions, right? But I'm not gonna do it just for demonstration purposes. So context, fill style, I'm gonna go with orangish color. Okay, and we'll start by begin path, and we have to do a little bit of calculation here, because I would like, oops, let's change the color. I would like my roof to look something like this. So the top point, the peak is should be in the middle, right? Then this point number 1, and point number 2, and this point number 3. So point number 1 is the top left corner of our house base, and it's moved to the left over some value, and then the same goes for the top right corner of our house, which is, we're just adding some value to create the point 2, and this is right in the middle of our house base, but the y axis also has some additional offset, for example, like 40 pixels or something like that, right? Okay, so let's try calculating that. I will start by using the move to command. So context move to, and I'm going to go house base left top x. Let's maybe define, or maybe not. We don't really need this. Or maybe let's do. So I'm going to create roof offset const. I'm going to set it to 40. So I'm going to say that this is the house base left top x coordinate minus roof offset, and then of course this is y. Then this is, so we're basically somewhere around here. Then I'm gonna draw a line through to here. So this is going to be context line 2. Let's do, this is gonna be house base left top x times house size times 2 remember, because we decided to use the house base size as a half of the side of our house. Add roof offset, and then we have this as a y-coordinate. So we are here with our line, and then move to the top. So context, create a line to, this is going to be a center point dot x, and let's add some height. So this is going to be y, and let's create actually let's be smart about it, and let's say roof dimensions, and we should basically group things that have some common context. So side, let's call it side offset is going to be 40, and the height is going to be it's going to be 100. And since we're using the uppercases here, let's just rename that to also be uppercase. Okay, so let's get that. A roof dimensions side offset, roof dimensions side offset, and here we're gonna go with roof dimensions height, and then basically we can call close path and fill. Sir? Oh, yeah, of course. Well, you can have years of experience and still do stupid questions. And this is upside down. I probably messed up so this should be minus, of course, because we're moving up. Okay, now it looks fine. What else? It starts to look like a house, but maybe we could add a chimney. And basically, we have two ways we could go about that here. We could create polygon and calculate the points along that edge of a cross, and maybe add a little chimney here. But we know that the things that we draw on the canvas can overlay on top of each other, and the thing that is drawn later will go on top over the earlier stuff. So if we draw the chimney as a rectangle and then cut, so if we draw it like that, we can cut off this part using our roof, right? So we don't have to calculate points along our roof. If you don't understand that, you will probably get it in a second. So I can just define a chimney here as in context, oops, say chimney, I believe that's how it's spelled. Context, fill side, let's make it reddish. Maybe, okay, something like that. And just call context fill correct. I'm going to use house base left top X position 10 and something like that. Okay, and now we have a chimney, and as you can see, because we're drawing the roof later, it overlays the rectangle. So if I remove all of that, you will see how it looks without the roof. And now adding the roof, it just looks perfect and you don't have to calculate anything. So you can use that to your advantage. Okay, with that done, we're rather good on time. Let's move to another example, and this is drawing arcs, basically. So circles and part of a circle. Well, there are two methods to it. There's an arc and arc2, and I'm gonna focus on arc, basically, because in my opinion it is easier to use. A sip of water. Okay, so let's go to our example. Well, whenever you'd like to create an arc, you also have to use the begin path. So let's start with that. Let's begin path, and then we have arc method. And if you take a look at the signature that is displayed on the screen right now, you will see that first 2 points describe the starting position of your arc. Then there's the radius, then the start angle, and then an end angle, and whether to draw it counterclockwise. By default, this is false, and this is an optional argument. Okay, so let's try with something simple. 450, 150, let's say 10, 0. This is a start angle, an angle 150. And let's draw it. Okay, and we will see nothing. And this is due to the fact that the degrees that you're passing here to the arc functions are expected to be in radians rather than in degrees. So if you don't know this from math already, you can get radians by using math pi method. Okay, and now we have our radian. Let's maybe bump the radius. Okay, so math pi, okay, is actually equal to 100 degrees. Okay, so this is half a circle. Therefore, to help ourselves a little bit, I will create a new file and call it Plutus. And in here, I'm going to create a simple function and call it degrees to radians. And the formula is rather simple. You pass the degrees as a number, and you return degrees times math pi divided by 180. Let's export this. And why? Well, if you pass 1 degree, right, since math pi is equal to 180, if you pass 180 here, then you should return math pi, and you can go from here. Because, why? Because 100 times math pi divided by 100 should return math pi, and there you go, that's the formula. Okay, so now instead of that, I can just use degrees to radians and pass 180, which is way convenient, at least for me. So one thing to remember, and one thing that's interesting here, to the 90, okay? Often when drawing a circle, we are under impression, well, let's just show this. If I were to draw a circle, I would probably do something like this, with expectation that this is 0 degrees, and of course 130 degrees, and here is 180, and of course here is 90, 270. But here I am passing 0 and 90, and drawing actually starts from here, right? So it is starting from the right side and going to the left, right? So just to remind you, the 0 is not on top in this case. What if I were to go and pass the counterclockwise parameter? Okay, well, it starts from here and goes all the way back here, right? Just like the clock is moving. There's one problem though, right? Everything looks quite nice here, but maybe let's move it. Let's move it a little bit. Okay, maybe even more since we have the place. Okay, let's get rid of that. What would happen if I would like to fill that arc? Well, what I'm getting is a slice of a circle, and the problem here is, and what was confusing for me a little bit, I was rather expecting, since this is from 0, since this is roughly our angle, I was expecting a slice of a circle rather than straight connection from one starting point to another. So whenever you would to create something like radial spreadsheet or something like that, or maybe you to create a Pacman, you'd rather have the slice rather than this strange shape. So how to achieve that? Well, it can be achieved, of course, but you have to change it a little bit. So I'm going to go to my utils, and I'm going to create a function. And I'm going to call it draw circle slice. Okay. And I'm going to say, let's decide what we'd like to pass here. So basically let's call it draw slice arcs, or sometimes I do draw slice, draw circle slice arcs. This is going to be a number. Y is going to be a number. We're going to need a radius. This is going to be a number. Start angle. And angle. Context, so that we can draw. And maybe the color as a string. unpack that. And I'm using name arguments because instead of positional arguments, because, well, we're passing 7 arguments here, so that's a lot. And you could argue that this is bad design to pass as many arguments to the function, but oh well. Okay, so let's start. First things first, I would like to set the fill style to the color. Right, we could do this optional, never mind. Of course, we have to start by the good old begin path. Then we have to move to X, Y position. And first, we actually have to draw a line. Line 2. So X and radius. Okay? Then we move back to X, Y, and we create an arc. X, Y, radius, degrees to radians, start angle, degrees to radians, and angle. We'll do false, but we could pass where it should be clockwise or not. And let's start with calling the stroke. Okay, and I'm going to use it and try to create a Pacman. So this is going to be draws. Okay, this is not exported, isn't it? Of course it's not. Okay. Yep. Okay, so basically what we're drawing here is a arc and a line, and then filling it should create the pie chart. The pie chart. Yeah, that was the word that I was missing. So let's see. X is gonna be 900, Y is gonna be 150, color. And let's do yellow, because that's the color of the Pacman. Context and angle. We could pass minus here, so that's kind of cool, because we're recalculating this to radians and radius of let's maybe move it. What you see here is this strange shape, maybe looking kind of like a part of a clock. But now if you fill it, right, you are getting the wonderful pie chart that can be modified. So again, stroked. This is basically our stroke, but when you fill it, this part will be connected. Okay, so let's try and see what would happen if we call close path here. Okay, now you can see the connection here, right? So this is all connected, and when it's filled, well, that's gonna be just gone. And of course, I could modify the angles here. So example from 0 to 135, right? Again, this is the 0, and this is the 135 because it is moving clockwise. Okay, but going back to our Pacman, and it wouldn't be completed. Do the fill. Close path is not necessary in this case, but let's leave it. It wouldn't be completed if we'll to leave it like this. We have to give him an eye. So let's do context fill style is black. Context, let's begin a new path. Let's do context arc. It's gonna be something like that. And of course, since the I is the full circle, we're gonna do this. And basically, actually, I could reuse my row circle slice method here, because definitely we should. Radius is 10, start angle is 0, end angle is 130. And what else? Oh, the color is black, and we pass the context. And now we have our Pacman. Splendid. Okay, so we can use that information to create a sun, simple sun, and a moon in our wonderful art. So let's get here and let's create a sun. So context, or maybe, yeah, we can use our function draw circle slice. This is going to be x, so window inner width minus 150, y is going to be 50, radius is going to be 40, start angle is going to be 0, and angle going to be 360, full circle, pass the context, and set the color to be something yellow. And we have a sun. Well, a simple representation of a sun. So to make things a little bit more interesting, let's create a moon. So again, draw, so this is a sun, and this is a moon. Draw circle slice. Yeah, so the color, we need something grayish, but with a little hint of yellow. And then the X is 60, the Y is 60. Then we have radius, which is 50, start angle, which is 0, and angle, which is 360, and we need a context. Okay, but this is cool, but this is looking a little bit flat, so we can enhance it a little bit. We can go to the utils function, and I'm gonna create well, actually, I don't need to create that function now that I think of it. Or maybe, yeah, okay. Or do I? No, we don't need that. Okay, let's add the moon spots. Okay, so I'm gonna draw a circle slice, and this is gonna be 35, y 30. The radius is gonna be 10. Start angle is gonna be 0, and angle is gonna be 360. Pass the context, set the color to something just simply gray. Okay, and we can add a few more just for fun. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so this is the first one. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna simply change the coordinates and the radius. Rest is gonna be the same. Then we have 80. Just remember to draw those inside of our moon, because otherwise it would look kind of strange. 89, 40, and 4, 82, and 32, and 6. Okay, let's get rid of that. And yeah, this is well, maybe we could go a little bit darker. So let's try something like this. Oh, way better. Okay, so this is it. This is how you can create shapes connected by lines, so polygons or just lines using canvas, and also pie chart, slices of a circle, and circles in canvas. The next episode will probably discuss the Bezier and quadratic curves and 2D path, and maybe we'll try to add some flowers to our wonderful scene. So thank you for that. I hope you enjoyed that episode. Please remember to hit subscribe button and like the video. It really helps the YouTube algorithm a lot. And I'm gonna see you in the next one. Tell somebody you love them.